Alrighty then, hello everyone! Happy New Year! For those of you that I see for the first time in 2021, Happy New Year everyone! Hope your transition to the 2021 year has been going well. We're back already in the commentary booth just 2 days into 2021, although it's not for Trackmania. We're gonna be tackling round 4 of the Delta Racing League's GT3 European Sprint Series, with round 4 taking place at Spa-Francorchamps, qualifying set to begin in 15 minutes time, and the race itself beginning around 20 minutes after that, with 60 minutes of racing plus 1 lap of pure GT3 goodness. Hello everyone, hope you're doing good. I'm Thomas Menguzzi, aka G-Geek, and I will be your host once again for another round of the Delta Racing League and another sim racing commentary gig, and want to start off the 2021 year with. I hope you guys have had a pretty good, had a good New Year's Eve, that you managed to celebrate that with a few friends or a family, and that you've had a smooth transition, and that nothing really dramatic happened in your household or in your family or anything like that. I hope that everybody is doing well. We've been doing New Year celebrations a little bit in a closed small committee. We were basically, I spent the New Year's Eve with my mother and my brother, whilst my dad went to see some friends of his, as he was able to do that. And to be fair, we were pretty chill about it. Just ate a little bit, watched a movie, did a board game, and yeah, just waited until 2021 came towards us. And yeah, it felt pretty relaxing to actually be at home and not having to do anything, except not having to do anything for once. Because I'm usually kind of busy with whether it's from real life or like preparing a cast and whatever. But yeah, it definitely felt nice. Now, for those of you that haven't really, that don't really follow me all that much, or are just coming through, I am at first a Trackmania caster, or commentator, but we call it caster in the esports world. And yeah, I've started doing sim racing commentary of the Delta Racing League back in early December. I think it was, yeah, December 5th was the first round of the DRL Championship. I had a lot of fun with it. I then commentated on round 3, which happened at Laguna Seca, and now we're back on round 4. And hello Team Beats, hope you're doing well. Hope 2021 is treating you good so far. I mean, we're only 2 days in, but I figured I would still ask the question. So yeah, I'm still very much a rookie when it comes to sim racing commentary. And the main thing that I'm trying to focus on, especially in the coming days and weeks, is trying to find a Trackmania casting gig. Now, I've been commentating the Trackmania Grand League, the biggest competition on the Trackmania game, is and I've commentated that for the Pittsburgh Knights, because the system is you represent a player represents an organization, and you actually get to cast for the player and for the organization. Now, unfortunately, with my organization pulling out, I am out of the gig. That's the main thing, and yeah, I do have to find an org in order to be able to commentate to bring coverage of the TMGL again, because it seems as though we might not be getting an official English cast again for like the 3rd straight season, which is kind of a bummer, but you know, we're gonna have to work with it. So yeah, we have 3 weeks to do so. So far, I haven't had any answer from any of the people that I have contacted, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful to be able to find a casting spot. We always hope that 2021 will be better. I mean, we're the first to hope so, and I'm one of the first guys to hope so. I've gone through 2020 jobless. Like, I graduated late 2019. Went on the job hunt right away. Managed to get a few hits with my resume. Like, did a few job interviews, did a few trials, but in the end, nothing panned out. Everyone's wanted to pick someone with a bit more experience on hands than what I brought to the table. So yeah, in the end, I never got any job in 2019, and 2020 made that even more difficult with the pandemic. So yeah, I hope 2021 will be better in that respect as well, so that I can finally try to get a professional life going. If I could actually make it as a commentator and not having to rely on trying to get a secondary job, then I would definitely go for it. That's one of the things that I've been discussing with my parents and whatever else. They find I get that they find this scary, you know. But see, if I find something that I'm really passionate about, and if I'm able to make it work, and if I'm able to actually make it viable for me to live off of, then why not just go for it? That's something that I've had in mind, even though I haven't reached the point where I can make this viable. But you never know. Maybe this year will be the year. Maybe 2022 will be the year. One thing that's for sure is that I'm going to continue doing my my commentary duties and trying to cast as much as I can, as much as I can in terms of scheduling and in terms of mental strength as well. I don't want to burn myself out too much and try to relive the hellhole that was October and November, especially with the Grand League seasons and whatnot. I don't really want to do like casting for 3 months straight. That would be kind of that proved to be a challenge in itself. Will we cast the MGL OGL? Well, that's the thing. As I said, I am currently waiting for answers from people that I'm contacting for Trackmania Grand League more specifically. So I don't really know on that front. And in terms of OGL, it's still up in the air. That decision is more down to myself, how I feel about covering OGL this year. And to be fair, like, it's always weird to say this, but I know that I can't compete with guys like Spam who actually cast OGL. And if that ends up happening, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. I don't know if I'm gonna be casting that, because it feels discouraging. Like, you know, comparing yourself to Spam, and you're like, well, you're a little guy. You don't have much following, so that explains that. Yeah, true, but it's, you know, you kind of know what you feel, right? Yeah, you're putting time and effort and stuff like that. But in the end, someone with a bit more laid-back cast might just do the trick, and it made me question at the end of the season: is it really worth for me to continue to do this on a Saturday when I could spend that Saturday time like either relaxing or doing better things and preparing for TMGL a little bit better? So we'll see. It's still up in the air, but yeah, well, it's definitely the time that will be the judge of that. So yeah, hello everyone who just joined the chat. We had a bit of discussion right here about Trackmania, my plans for Trackmania and whatnot. But yeah, let's get back to brass tacks and back to business with the race, shall we? So, well, the race. We haven't started the race yet, but yeah, let's actually get a little bit of a gander at what's currently going on the server. We've still got around 8 minutes and 30 seconds of free practice to go before we get to qualifying. And here we go. So we are at the legendary Spa-Francorchamps circuit, the longest in the DRL calendar and the longest so far available in the Assetto Corsa Competizione game, just over 7 kilometers in length, 7 kilometers and 4 meters in length, as a matter of fact. The layout that we currently see here has been like that since 2007 and 2008, when there was renovation work that was done on the circuit to construct a brand new pit lane area and the modification of the bus stop chicane towards the end of the circuit. The circuit itself was first opened on 1921 and formed a gigantic loop going through the villages of Spa, Stavelot, and Malmedy. Before we got to the close to the circuits that we had today, the loop was used during the 50s and 60s and 70s up until 1978, which was when it was last used for any sporting events, and then the first version of the layout that you see here on screen first appeared in 1979. It was also a circuit that was very much like the Circuit de la Sarthe in its early days, meaning that, and by that I mean that a portion of the track was actually a public road, meaning that outside of race weekends, people who wanted to make the junction from Spa to Malmedy could actually go through part of the circuit and actually take part of the circuit to go through those two villages. Now, the circuit was then made semi-permanent in 2003 by restrictions on basically forbidding access to the circuit, or the at least the tarmac of the circuit, between March and October. And then shortly thereafter, we had the circuit becoming fully permanent. You're a sharp eye, Chris. I completely forget. I always forget that, because the thing is, like, racing lines, like, I tend to turn that back on after the races are done, because I tend to drive recce laps. I tend to drive recce laps with them on, because I'm kind of a noob. Well, noob. It's a bit of a strong word, but you know, I'm not really that experienced with like braking markers and so on. Plus, I'm using a gamepad, so yeah, it doesn't really make doing like recce laps that's any easier, if I can say so.
Green light.
But yeah, I tend to turn it on and never to take it back off, which is understandable for me to take it off. But yeah, you're right. But yeah, thank you for reminding me to take it off. But yeah. So there you go. Well, I gave you a few fun facts about the circuit itself. I hope that you guys are looking forward to the race. 5 minutes and 30 seconds of free practice before we get the show on the road. Now let's actually try to take a look at the timetable to see some of the participants. Well, the top 24 is only in there. And now let's actually go through the list of participants. We do have the man on the screen, the current championship leader, Pete Ruotsalainen in the Team IFA 65, number 333, AMR V8 Vantage GT3. In fact, before we go through the list of participants, let's actually take a look through the rankings after round number 3 at Laguna Seca last week. So here are your driver standings. The top 10 after round 3 is as follows. Pete Ruotsalainen leads the championship with 147 points, 7 points ahead of another AMR V8 Vantage, that of Darren Baker, the number 420 car from TWR Motorsports. His teammate Fernando Paolino in the RA LMS Evo is third with 125 points. Then in fourth place we find Pontus Karlbaum in the first AMG GT3 of the top 10 with 106 points for the number 6 car. Then in the top 5 we find the only Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo, that of Adrien Stefanello with 91 points. Sixth place then, 2 points behind, we find Chris Pica in the only Porsche 911 2 GTR 2 GT3R, sorry, of the ranking. Chris Pica, sorry. Then 7th place we find Joachim Kjellgren in the number 294 Mercedes-AMG GT3 with 87 points, equal on points tallying with Kai Gliva in the 117 Aston Martin V8 Vantage GT3, although Kjellgren had on countback better finishes than Kai Gliva, so he takes 7th place. Then 9th place for Timo Ladelma in the BMW M6 number 10 with 74 points. And in 10th position we find Carlos Oslot. Yes, you read that right. Carlos Oslot, founder of G2, did take part in rounds 2 and 3, that of Imola and that of Laguna Seca, and currently finds himself 10th in the standings with 62 points to his credit. Now, I don't think he was in the list of participants for this particular race on Spa-Francorchamps, unfortunately, so we'll see how that goes, but unfortunately there might not be any points on the board for Oslots. Now moving on to the manufacturer standings, we have the following top 10 after round 3. The AMR V Vantage GT3s currently dominating the field with 287 points scored for all the cars engaged from that model and make. Then we find the AMG GT3s with 216 points in second place. Then third place for the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo with 197 points. Then in fourth place we find the 911 2 GT3R from Porsche with 145 points. Fifth place for the BMW M6 GT3 with 132. Then sixth place for the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo with 129. Seventh place for the R8 LMS Evo from Audi with 125. Then eighth place for the 720S GT3 from McLaren with 110. Then we find the Honda NSX GT3 Evo in ninth with 80 points. And 10th place, rounding out our top 10, we have the Nissan GT-R Nismo GT3 with 37 points. Then on 11th place we find, outside of this ranking top 10, in 11th place we find the Lexus RCF, and then so far we haven't seen any Bentley Continental being entered, so yeah, no points for any Bentleys. No boats have been engaged in this series so far. I call it boat because yeah, it does look pretty big. It does look pretty big. I don't know if it handles like a boat though in its GT3 form. Anyways, I was going to go through the the entrance list. So Darren Baker is in there, Kyle Gulliver's in there, Brendan Patrick. We have Pete Ruotsalainen, as you can see here on screen. We also have Pontus Carbom entered. If we can actually switch to him. Yeah. That's that disconnection kind of messed up my broadcasting line, but there we go. So we got Darren Baker in the TWR Motorsports number 420 AMRV Advantage. Let's actually see how many drivers we got. Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Carlos Ocelot, number 62 AMG GT3. He took part in the previous round of Laguna Seca, had a bit of an eventful race. Eventually coming home in 16th position after having a strong start, but being involved in an incident with Anton Colon at Laguna Seca around the Real Strait, midway through the Real Strait, as a matter of fact, with a bit of an incident that way. But yeah, indeed, Ocelot is participating. We've got 36 total entries in this race of the DRL GT3 DRL European GT3 Series. Let's see who else we got. Aaron Dewsbury and Aaron Jackson battling for the title of highest placed Aaron Jays in the race. Then let's see who else we've got. We got Rob Franken in one of the very few NSX GT3s engaged. The other one being that of Marius Schneider in the number 27. As free practice has come to a close, we will soon get started with qualifying. 15 minutes of qualifying to decide the grid for the race. Followed by that will be the formation lap, and then 60 minutes of racing plus 1 lap. This will give us a little bit of more time to go through the entry list. We've got Pilva Mill in the number 6 NBR, in number 613 NBR Lamborghini Huracan. You also got Matthias Westberg from Westberg Motorsports in the number 26 AMRV Advantage. Joachim Kjellgren, as you can see, in the 294 AMG GT3. Nigel Tarin, another GT3 that of Grip Not Found, in the number 3. Hi Gulliver was seen a little bit earlier. Then we got Brendan Patrick, soon to go back to the pits. We saw Anton Collins stopped in the middle of the row, which could have been yielding a huge collision. Now, some of the championship contenders that are in there, unfortunately, there is one name that I want to point out. Unfortunately, some could not be there, and that particular person I wanted to mention was Jean-Sébastien Cassinguena. The reason I wanted to mention that name is because he was the one that's actually got me to commentate this racing series, and I think I wouldn't have had the chance to commentate sim racing without him. So yeah, if you're watching Jean-Seb, bisous. J'espère en tout cas que tu passes une bonne soirée, même si t'as pas pu te rendre à cette course-là, mais bon. J'espère que tout se passe bien chez toi malgré tout. So, 20 seconds before the start of qualifying. Well, that's the end of free practice, so we're gonna have to wait a little bit before the change of session. There we go. Qualifying starts now, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the green light for this qualifying session. William Barbosa is among the first to go through and to actually go out, but Pete Ruotsalainen takes to the track almost immediately. 15 minutes to set the fastest time you can. Then we find Darren Baker, then Aaron Jackson, Oliver Schlösel, Salty Koniglieski, then Pontus Carbom just behind him. Maya Schneider in front just behind Paolino. Everybody slowing down. Kai Gulliver behind Koniglieski. Maya Schneider getting overtaken by Carbom. Some people lifting in the pit lane, some others just keeping their foot in it on the limiter. Brendan Patrick just ahead of Carbom now. Brendan Patrick. Atta Becker down in one of the BMW M6 GT3s. Nick Knippels in the number 16 Shadow Racing. Brendan Patrick, here he is in the number 81 TWR Motorsports Lamborghini Huracan. Then Chris Bicker in the Porsche coming out of the pits right now. Darren Baker, followed by Jackson, Schlösel, Court, and Paolino. Ricky Court in the number 17 Rico Racing McLaren. Ruotsalainen has quite a bit of a gap to Darren Baker on the track. So yeah, let's actually try to turn on the track map to see everything, where is everyone so far. So you can see Baker and Jackson are within close proximity. Then we find Ricky Courts, Fernando Paolino, and Oliver Schlösel. Bit of a hairy moment between Quartz and Paolino here. Brendan Patrick followed by Chris Picca, then Atta Beckertan, Niepils, Westbird, Karlbaum, Schneider, Koenig, Liski, Kuliva. Then a little bit further behind we find Pim van Mil, Joachim Kjellgren, then Ian Norun de Jong in one of the only Lexus RCFs engaged, Rob Franken in the NSX, then Oslot in the number 62 AMG. And meanwhile, I think we should go back to actually get the perspective of Pete Ruotsalainen as he's about to come towards the start-finish line. He's got Blanchimont and the bus stop chicane to go before he can actually start his flying lap. And I think we should go on board with Pontus in this particular instance. With Pete, sorry. Going through the bus stop chicane now. And on board with Pete for a lap of Spa-Francorchamps. Make sure to get a good exit out of there because it conditions the straight before the heavy braking zone to La Source, down to second or even first gear in some cases. Make sure to clip the apex, go close to the wall, and then straighten it out and watch your exit to not go too wide and avoid the sausage curve on the exit. Then it's all the way down, picking up speed before you're heading to Eau Rouge and its famous radial. You're gonna feel the compression and you're gonna have to lift a little bit. Some people go front out through there. Make sure to not overuse the curve on the left-hand side at the exit at the top of the radial, because that could be track limits. Then onto the Camel Straight. Make sure to get a good exit out of the Eau Rouge because it conditions the speed for the Camel Straight. 200, then brake at the 100-meter board just as you see the curve for Lecombe. Right, then left with a small lift on the left-hander, then onto the Malmedy curve. A little bit of a lift here with the upshift. Then Rivage, downhill, drop 2 gears, early apex hook. Make sure it's really snail space through there. You have to wait so much before you can get back on the throttle before moving on to the next corner. Short corner before the right and left-hander. Then downhill towards Pouon. A pretty technical corner in its own right. Pete going for a late apex, dropping down a few gears. Managing to keep it neat and tidy on the racetrack before exiting with much more speed. Then next up we have Fagne. Right, bit of an early apex through there, then left snapping immediately towards the left-hand side. A bit of a late apex, maybe not too much apex here for Pete Ruotsalainen. Then Stavlo, heavy braking for Stavlo 1. A little bit of a curve on the exit, then Stavlo 2. That wide exit from 1, conditioning 2. And then it's all the way flat out up to the bus stop chicane, including through Blanchimont. Sorry for that little list through there. Blanchimont, let's actually see. Yes, he indeed goes flat out through there. Now onto the final heavy braking zone of the track. Bus stop chicane. Just before the 100-meter board. Dropping down the first gear for some people. Some people try to take it in second. Then make sure to get a good exit out of there as they are about to go on the start-finish line. And Ruotsalainen takes the benchmark of 2:17.760. This is going to be your reference time for this particular instance in the qualifying session. 9 minutes and 43 seconds to go. Pete Ruotsalainen sets the benchmark. Aaron Jackson is next to set a time on the board, followed by Brandon Patrick, Fernando Paolino. Some people have taken back to the pits and are coming back out now. Paolino with a 2:18.546 sits in 3rd place. Then Niels Knippels is also in there. Matthias Wisberg slotting himself in 4th. Meanwhile, let's actually see who has actually set the time so far. So far, 13 drivers, 14 now have currently set a time. Marius Schneider, 15, 16, everybody getting their bankers in. Banker time in. Pete Ruotsalainen, 2:17.670. Brandon Patrick with a 2:18.027. And Nigel Taurin slotting himself in 3rd place with a 2:18.456 for Nigel Taurin in the number 3 grip not found AMG GT3. Let's actually see some of the other drivers who are currently trying to get a point on to get a lap on the board. We're currently following the perspective of Oslot. Going through Eau Rouge. No proper time recorded so far, at least in terms of qualifying time from Oslot, so he's not put himself on the grid. Let's actually try to go on board with the Spanish driver right now. You can see from behind one Ferrari, that of Jason Schramm, I think it is. Or John Foster. We have 2 or 3 Ferraris engaged, and I don't have the colors in mind, so I apologize if I messed up the colors of some. So, meanwhile, Oslo coming out of the exit of the corner before Pool. Going back on board with the dash cam from Oslot. Forced to release. He had lost quite a bit of speed by not hooking up the apex at the first part of Pool. That will cost big time in the time department here. Going through fine, pretty precariously, then braking for Stavlo as he sees the curb. Widens the exit, takes a lot of curb on the exit before Stavlo 2. He goes too wide. That should be track limits, I think. Or is that time gonna count? We're gonna have to wait and see. Blanchimont up next. Going big one on exit. Pulling a gear in midway through Blanchimont. Then heavy braking zone. Braking at between the 150 and 100 meter board here. Jumping all the way down to first. Short squirt of the throttle between the left and right. What's it going to be for Oslot? Time of 2:20.916, but it was indeed track limits as the result of that small excursion at the exit of Stavlo 2. You have to keep it between the white lines, otherwise your time will simply not be counted. Unfortunately for Oslot, it seems as though it is not going to be paying out for this lap. He goes straight onto another lap. That Ferrari behind him was the 222 of Sean White. So yeah, I indeed did a little bit of a mistake there when pointing out one of the Ferraris. Meanwhile, Darren Baker, whilst we were commentating Oslot, has taken the lead of the qualifying standings with a 217.457 compared to Pete Woodsalainen. He relegates Pete Woodsalainen in second for 0.08 of a second. Let's actually try to see if we can get a little bit of a perspective of some of the other drivers. You can see Atta Bekartan going back to the pits. Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first occurrence. Sorry for being a bit loud, but this is the first time that I see a Bentley Continental being engaged. The Boatley is actually entered a race. That of Steve Hughes in the number 7 Bentley Continental GT3 from Dragon Racing. Currently sitting in 24th with a 2:21.429. Eric Engman in 6th in his Orange 1 FFF number 888 Huracan. Chris Pica looked like he was on the flying lap. Let's actually see if there is any improvement on this time. Time 2:20.049, which slots him in P14 in his 911 number 911 from Porsche Schumi-Skins Racing. Matthias Westberg currently sitting in P9 in his AMRV Advantage. Pontus Carbon currently sitting in 5th in the provisional standings of qualifying in his Illuminate Racing number 6 AMG GT3, currently closely following, was closely following Konigierski, but he decides to return to the pits, it seems like. Darren Baker, having had a pretty slow last lap, is now potentially back on a flyer. Let's actually try to switch on board with Darren at the moment, exiting La Source. Then Laurent de Jong, you can see on the left-hand side, stopped on the side of the track in his Lexus RCF, letting Darren Baker by. Rouge, taking a little bit of curve on the way in. Onto the Camel Straight, closing onto one of the AMG GT3s up front. And it's not a GT3. Yes, it is indeed an AMG. I thought it wasn't an AMG and I was going to make an S myself, but it is indeed an AMG. Whose it is, I can't really tell. Darren Baker having to deal with traffic on his qualifying lap, which isn't the most ideal situations, as we like to know. It's better to always have a clear track, or if there is some traffic, it is always better to have it on the straight to have a little bit of tow. But it can prove to be a nuisance under heavy braking zone in that they don't get out of the way quickly. Baker going through Poulon, going really wide, going a bit too wide maybe. Is that time going to be registered? I don't really know. Oh, up front is Oslot and Ruotsalainen. Ruotsalainen might be on a quick lap actually. You might have had to deal with Oslot a little bit earlier, but Oslot might also be on a hot lap, so it will be difficult for Darren Baker to actually deal with these two. A bit of a conservative approach through Stavlo 1, Stavlo 2, a bit more speed, Oslot going off the track. This might be another time deleted for Oslot here. We're going to have to wait and see. Oslot still has no time on board. He just directly follows Ruotsalainen. And Oslot lets Darren Baker by, as he knows that Darren Baker is on a potential hot lap here. 2 minutes to go in qualifying. Heavy braking from Darren before the bus stop chicane. Ruotsalainen coming across the start-finish line. Will he be able to improve? Will Baker be able to improve as well? Let's actually see from Ruotsalainen. Nope, no improvements, and no improvement so far for Darren Baker either. A 218.615, while it was a 221.171 for Ruotsalainen. He might try to give it a go another time here. Meanwhile, Oslot has not retired. Well, retired. He's not come back to the pits yet. This is the last chance for people to get a good time in now. Yellow flags being waved somewhere on the circuit. I can't really see because I don't have the map on. Oslot needs to get a banker time in if he is not to start from the back of the grid. So far, no time from Oslot in this qualifying session. Baker currently still holding the lead with a 217.457 to his credits. A bit of a wide exit there from Ruotsalainen and Malady. Down to Rivage, braking on the curb. Down to second gear. Moving on to Poulon. Dropping it down to fourth and third gear. Going a bit wide. Is that going to be enough for him to retain that time? I don't know if he's going to be an improvement either. So we're going to have to wait and see. But Ruotsalainen might be looking pretty quick. Darren Baker was looking pretty quick as well on his previous lap. Two drivers rather, left to set a time in this qualifying session. That being Schramm and Oslot. Oslot going through Stavlo 1 right now. Oslot having people go out of the way. We're done with qualifying already. That means that it's lap of Baker, Ruotsalainen, and Oslot are going to be counting towards the finish line. He will not get a new time in after that. Well, just ahead of Ruotsalainen. Will Ruotsalainen be able to improve? Will Darren Baker be able to improve? Ruotsalainen will come across the start-finish line now. And Ruotsalainen will stay in second place. And Darren Baker will be your pole sitter for today's event with a 217.457, just ahead of Pete Ruotsalainen. Now let's actually see who else is there. So third place for Brandon Patrick, fourth for Nigel Tauren, Knippes and Paulino in third row, fourth row for Karlbaum and Eggman, fifth row for Kjellgren and Westberg, sixth row for Gulliver and Sean White, Aaron Jackson and Pilvamil in row 7, row 8 for Sadowski and Koniglieski, 9th row for Rob Franken and Aaron Jewsbury, 10th row for Chris Picker and Atta Bekertan, 11th row for Sam Angel and Jesper Röland, 12th row for Marius Schneider and John Foster, 13th row for Oliver Schlösel and Steve Hughes, 14th row for Alex Hancock and Ricky Court, 15th row for Aaron de Jong and for Arjen Lauren de Jong and Anton Kolong. Then 16th row for Carlos Oslot, who got 31st, and Alex Walker. Then 17th row for William Barbosa and Team Berggren, and the final row will be comprised of Paco Marchante and John Schromb. So Baker, Ruotsalainen, your first row, followed by Brandon Patrick, Nigel Tauren, Nick Nippels, and Fernando Paulino to complete your first 3 rows of the grid. Ocelot lamenting himself in the chat that he's had 6 laps invalidated, considering himself a monkey for that. But yeah, everybody makes mistakes, that's okay. Good luck, everyone. Meanwhile, you can hear the on-track commentators having a bit of a chit-chat in the game. Of course, that is not part of the overall ambiance of the Assetto Corsa game. We're racing at 10 a.m. With a bit of a cloudy weather. It seems like no rain forecast. It seems like, but yeah, definitely a bit of a different atmosphere. That is quite a big change from the races that we've had, that I've been able to cover with the daytime race of Hungaroring and the nighttime race of Laguna Seca. That came up a little bit earlier on. 10 seconds before the start, as you can hear the spotter say in the ears of all the drivers. And we're about to get underway soon. You can see everybody lining up at the starting grid. Darren Baker leading the formation lap. Remember, guys, if you're new here, we are going for 60 minutes plus 1 lap of racing in this sprint race. Round 4 of the DRL GT3 European Sprint Series. We're halfway through the season already. Darren Baker on pole. Just ahead, just beside him, Pete Ruotsalainen, the championship leader, just behind his current runner-up. Brandon Patrick in P3, ahead of Nigel Tauren behind them. Then third row, Nick Nippels and Fernando Paulino. Fourth row for Pontus Kallblom and Erik Engman. Joachim Kjellgren and Matthias Westberg in the 5th row. 6th row for Per Van Mel and Kai Gulliver. Sean White and Aaron Jackson in row 7. Row 8, Maciej Sadowski and Santi Kongiglievski. 9th row, Rob Franken and Aaron Jewsbury. 10th row, Chris Picker and Atta Bekertan. 11th row, Sam Angel and Jeroen Roland. 12th row, Marius Schneider and John Foster. 13th row, Oliver Schulze and Steve Hughes. 14th row, Alex Hancock, Ricky Court. Row 15, Anton Colon, Carlos Oslot. Row 16, Alex Walker, William Barbosa. Row 17, Team Bergen and Paco Marchante, and final row with John Schrom. It seems as though we had John Foster retiring already. He's back in the pits, so he might not be able to make it in the end. So 36 entrants, 35 starters it might be at the end of it all in this particular instance. Meanwhile, the leaders, Darren Baker and Ruotsalainen, are currently heading through Pouhon. Everybody warming the tires up. Everybody has had the time to go through their setup changes before the start of the race and finalize a little bit their knowledge of the track in the practice session before the stream had started. Paulino, having slowed down a little bit, is going to come back to take his place on the grid. Go back to his rightful spot on the formation lap. Yeah, indeed, John Foster is in the pits in the number 69 Fusion Motorsports A488 GT3 Evo. Might be a start from the pit lane for him, or it might be an early retirement. We don't really know. Joan Strom is currently the last car on track, along with Paco Marchante in the AMG GT3 and 488 GT3 Evo. As we're getting closer and closer to the end of the formation lap. The leaders having come out of Stavelot 2, they are heading towards Blanchimont and the bus stop chicane at a reduced pace, of course. Everybody warming their tires up. Brendan Patrick and Nigel Tarran going side by side. Remember, there's no collision on the formation lap. Collisions will be enabled at the start of the race, though, so it will be really important to follow closely all the shenanigans of the race start. They're coming towards the bus stop chicane. Just one final sequence of corners before everybody will get to line up double file for the race start. They're already coming up to double file now at the exit of Blanchimont. Baker dictates the pace. Ruotsalainen just behind him. Baker on the right side of the road. Ruotsalainen on the left side. Baker, Ruotsalainen, Patrick and Tarran, your top four as they're coming across the start-finish line in a few seconds. The race coming up in a few seconds. They're all coming towards La Source. Double file. And the start will be done on the downhill slope as they head to Eau Rouge. You can see the grid right here with the start line a little bit further beyond that.
What about the Nikon flag? You worried about that?
No,
As they come around the right-hander. Baker on the left, Ruotsalainen on the right of your screen. And the race is underway. We're racing at Spa. Ruotsalainen getting a really good start against Baron Baker, but Baker having the inside before Eau Rouge, but he ducks back into, ducks back behind Ruotsalainen, and Ruotsalainen takes the lead of the race. Heading into lap number 1, Baker and Tarran just behind him on the Campbell Straight. Knippers in P4, and just behind him we find actually Pauline, Carlbaum and Patrick having a battle of their own for the top 5 positions. Carlbaum having to duck back behind Patrick, under braking for Lecombes. Paulino being forced out wide by Engman. So far, the positions have not been traded too hard out here. Let's actually try to get a bit of perspective from the leaders, though. They're still looking to be a top 3, top 4 battle heading into Rivage. Ruotsalainen leading Baker. Tarran getting a bit of a nudge from Knippers, who's had a superb start, moving up to P4 in the space of a few corners. Ruotsalainen still leading Baker as they head to Poole, but Baker has got a pretty good speed advantage in his favor, it seems like, but he's not going to be able to make the move done here in just before Poole, so he's going to have to bide his time and wait a little bit. Nigel Tarran is going to be the referee, so to speak, just behind him as they come to Fagne. Knippers behind him in the Shadow Racing number 16, GT3. And Brandon Patrick just behind him. Pontus Carlbaum, Kjellgren, Paulino, Engman, and Pierre Van Mil will be your top 10 so far. As we're going to be heading back towards the front of the race. Stavelot 2 coming up for both Pete Ruotsalainen and Darren Baker. They're both through Stavelot 2. Now on the way to Blanchimont with the big braking zone of the bus stop chicane up next. This could be the first opportunity for Darren Baker to actually try to make a move on Ruotsalainen. Will he go for it, though? It seems a little bit too early to go through. He's going a bit too far back, so that won't move. We'll have to wait another moment in the race. Meanwhile, Ruotsalainen is controlling this race up front and will come across the line in the lead. The start-finish line is at the place of the Formula 1 start-finish straight and not of the start straight for this race, which is a little bit further down the road, as you can see here from the placement of the grid. So Ruotsalainen, Baker, and Tarran, your top 3. Knippers in 4th, battling hard with Brandon Patrick for 4th position. Then Pontus Carlbaum P6, followed by Erik Engman in 7th place, having overtaken Paulino. Patrick is just behind Knippers, trying to take advantage of the slipstream of the Camel Straight. He's being forced out wide by Knippers, trying to duck back and trying to go for the switchback around the inside now. Heavy braking coming up for Lecombe. Will he be able to make it stick? He's on the inside. Will he be able to get the move done? Yes, indeed. And Patrick moves up to 4th place at the expense of Nick Knippers. Then just behind him we find Pontus Karbom, who's trying to take a little bit of a slice of the pie and trying to move up to 5th position himself. Although that move will not be able to be happening on this next part of the circuit, unless maybe he can pull it off before Poole, but that's not going to be looking likely. Then Eric Engman in P7, Paulino in P8, Sean White in 9th, just ahead of Aaron Jackson, and Atomic Ayrton then 10th and 11th so far. Let's actually try to check in on Pontus Karbom for a little bit. Number 6, GT3 AMG. Currently hot on the heels of Nick Knippers as they head to Fagnes. Fernando Paulino a little bit further behind, driving his own race, trying to pull away from Sean White. Meanwhile, up front, the gap is still pretty close. 3/10, well, it's widened down to 6/10, but it was 3/10 at the end of Sector 1, so it could still very well be a battle for the lead brewing here between these two. Meanwhile, the gaps seem to have widened quite a bit, doing a little bit of accordion effect for the gaps throughout the lap. Sector 1 was looking super close, then it has somewhat widened again onto Sector 2. Maybe Sector 3 will be the gaps place where the gaps close, with Karbom just behind Knippers. Will he try to make the move under braking? He goes for it on the inside before the bus stop chicane, and he's gonna try to make it move, make it stick. He's a bit wide, but he's still got the line, and Karbom moves up to P5 against Knippers, but for how long? Knippers got a much better exit out of that bus stop chicane. Will he be able to get the switch back at La Source? Karbom tucks to the inside, tries to force Knippers out wide. Karbom maybe out braking himself. He does. Knippers down the inside, and he will retake 5th place. Superb battle, which is set to continue all the way down through Eau Rouge, all the way up to the Camel Straight. Meanwhile, Darren Baker has dropped the ball quite a bit compared to Ruotsalainen, so Ruotsalainen is currently safe in the lead of the race compared to Darren Baker. Knippers a bit wide compared to Karbom at the exit of Eau Rouge in the radial. Camel Straight, Karbom in the slipstream. Knippers going to the inside, protecting the line. Karbom on the outside, he tries to reel him out. He remain under braking. He tries to get the inside for the second part of Lecombe. Will he be able to get it? This is going to be super close. Knippers has got the inside from Malmedy though, and that's going to be still P5 for Knippers unless Karbom can make the move down the Rivage. No, he's a bit too far back. Meanwhile, Engman has taken a little bit of opportunity to try and catch back up to the group in front of him, so he could try and get 5th place himself. Meanwhile, behind him we find Sean White having overtaken Paulino. Paulino is slipping back in the field, unfortunately for him. Down to 9th place he goes. Then we find a battle for 10th between Ataberg Ayrton, then Aaron Jackson and Kai Gulliver. Let's actually try to go on board with Kai Gulliver right now, chasing the GT3 Nismo GTR of Aaron Jackson up front for 11th position. Although we might have a pretty good battle brewing between Karbom and Knippers, but also Engman. No, actually, Knippers has managed to widen the gap quite a bit. So let's go back to Aaron Jackson and Kai Gulliver going through Stablo 1 and Stablo 2 right now. Gap at the end of Sector 2, 3.5 tenths of a second in favor of Aaron Jackson, currently sitting in P11. A little bit further behind, we find Chris Picker, 1.7 seconds behind, then 1 second behind Maciej Sadowski, Jeroen Reuland, Marius Schneider, Oliver Schlösel, Alex Hancock, Carlos Oslot moving up to P19 after qualifying 31st, so a good comeback potentially in the books for Oslot in this race. Meanwhile, at the front, Ruotsalainen completely controlling the race up front and having 8 tenths of a gap to Darren Baker. Baker having quite a bit of gap to Nigel Tyron as well. In between them is a lapped car already. We're barely 2 to 3 laps into this race, and we're already finding lapped cars left, right, and center. That of Rob Franken and Aaron Dewsbury, who might have been involved in incidents at the start of the race. Onto the Camel Straight. Sorry for the frantic camera switch. Meanwhile, Knippers seems to have managed to make the gap quite big compared to Karbom, who may have had a mistake at the exit of one of the corners, and that means that Engman could try to get himself 6th place on the board at the expense of Pontus. Pontus sitting in 4th position in the standings overall at the DRL, remember, after 3 rounds. Eggman coming closer and closer, but not able to make the move into Rivage. So this is going to have to wait a little bit for the number 888 Lamborghini driver. Sean White well behind the battle for 6th, but well ahead of Atabek Ayrton for 9th. Meanwhile, Fernando Paulino having a bit of a slip back through the field. Aaron Jackson and Kai Gulliver. Gulliver having managed to get by Jackson and moving up to 10th place at the expense of both him and Paulino. So indeed a pretty good operation for Gulliver, who moves up into the top 10 in his Aston Martin right now. Albom and Eggman having a bit of a wide exit out of Stavlo 1 onto Stavlo 2. They managed to keep it neat and tidy. Eggman going a bit wider, trying to carry a bit more speed, and he's managed to keep himself within, well, close to the back bumper of Carbom, should I say, as we go on board with the number 888 Lamborghini Huracan. Does he have the speed? Will he have to go for the move under braking at the bus stop? No, he thinks better of it. He waits for the good move. He bides his time. Maybe a bit of better reacceleration from the bus stop chicane. Yes, it does have a little bit better acceleration. Will that be enough to warrant a move at the upside of La Source, though? Not quite. Eggman still waiting to bide his time, but now we're coming through Eau Rouge. Actually, it should be a good place to go back on board. You can see he's within his back bumper now. Eau Rouge, the Radion. Make sure not to go too much over the curb. Oh, Kniepers is in the wall. What happened to Kniepers? What on earth happened to Kniepers? Oh, he spun at the exit of the radio, at the top of the radio where the car gets slide. He got it slightly in an oversteer moment towards the left-hand side, and that is completely gone, done and dusted for Nick Kniepers, which means that, well, Brandon Patrick promoted up to P4 and Cobham up to P5. As a matter of fact, as a result of that small mistake from Kniepers, Eggman still keeping Carbon on his toes as they both head to Pool for the 5th time, should I say rather, in this GT3 Sprint Series. 10 minutes in, and currently Pete Ruotsalainen leads 8/10 ahead of Darren Baker. 3rd place right now for Nigel Torren, having a solid race so far in his number 3 AMG. Still a close battle for top 5 right now between Pontus Carbom and Eric Eggman. Currently it is the AMG that has the advantage, but Eggman has had some solid laps the previous time, and he is currently continuing to close in on Carbom. Will that be the time where we get the move down the braking zone before the bus stop chicane? We'll have to see. Both are going through Blanchimont now. A bit of a lift from Eggman that should give a bit of room to breathe for Carbom. Oh, nice save from Eggman there. That looks really, really sketchy. Look at this through Blanchimont, forced to lift, taking a bit of curve on the exit and having a bit of a slide that you could see on the onboard camera. That might have been a bit of a butt clench there for Eric Eggman. That should give Carbom a little bit of room to breathe, but I'm imagining there should be code brown for Eggman after that small scare at the Blanchimont corner. But yeah, good job for Eric to actually save it. Meanwhile, Torren quite a ways away from the lead. He's 6.4 seconds behind Baker, so he's not of any threat to the top 2, who are currently going through lap cars with Joachim Kjellgren letting the leaders by. Kjellgren down in P29. Torren is up in 3rd, and currently Brandon Patrick is 1.1 seconds behind Torren, so he's still not of any threat for Nigel at the moment, but he could try to catch him back up. For Eggman, then, it will be a race to try and regroup. That small scare might have been a wake-up call. Now that might be the time for him to regroup and try to catch Pontus back up and try to set up a move in the braking zone. Sean White in 7th. Ayrton in 8th, Gulliver in 9th, and Jackson in P10. A Nissan GT3 GTR in the top 10. Sadowski in 11th place, Roland in 12th, Pika in P13, chasing Roland, then Paulino. Then we find Schneider, Schölzel, Oslot up into P17 after his poor qualifying performance, up 14 spots from the 31st place where he was starting this race. Ricky Court in 18th, 19th for Anton Colon. Steve Hughes in the only Bentley Continental in 20th place, 21 for first for Alex Hancock, 22nd for Alex Walker, 23rd for William Barbosa, chased relentlessly by Matthias Westberg and Arie Lauren de Jong, completing your top 25 right now. As we're going to be trying to move back up to the leading pair, leading pair. Well, leading pair, could we go for the leading pair actually? Baker trying to close the gap to Ruotsalainen. The gap was half a second at the end of Sector 2 between the two V8 Vantage GT3s. Currently Pil van Mil in front of Ruotsalainen, giving the blue flag. So he should let the space for both Ruotsalainen and Baker to go through, but it seems as though they're not close enough to warrant that penalty from Pil van Mil. So that will allow Baker to try and catch back up to him to Ruotsalainen in first place. Meanwhile, it seems as though the gap has closed between Karlbaum and Ekman. Yes, indeed, Dewsbury making himself going out of the way of Karlbaum and Ekman. But yeah, Ekman managing to catch some gaps thanks to Pontus having to deal with traffic right now. With up next the Lamborghini of Berggren now going through Eau Rouge, and Ekman might have another opportunity again to try and challenge for 5th position. Moving on to the Camel Straight. Ekman in the slipstream of Karlbaum. Will he try to go for the switchback and the move into the comb? No, he thinks better of it. 5th place lives again so far for Pontus in this instance versus Erik Engman. Berggren trying to make moves out of the way of both Karlbaum and Engman, breaking way before Rivage. Not the best clearance of traffic from Ekman that will allow Karlbaum to have a little bit of room to breathe and a little bit of respite. Meanwhile, no respite for Brendan Patrick and Nigel Tarrin. Patrick catching up to Tarrin in the last few laps, moving up to 0.6 of a second of a gap between himself and a place on the podium in this Spa-Francorchamps race. Meanwhile, up front, the gap has closed yet again between Baker and Ruotsalainen. Let's actually try to go on board with Baker, shall we? Hello, Witty, hope you're doing well. Oh, the speed differential is looking in favor of Darren Baker as they go through Blanchimont. Both going flat out. Ruotsalainen having a bit of a lift. Will he try to go for the move? Round the outside of the bus stop. Ruotsalainen has the line. Currently defends. Now we know that the battle isn't over thanks to a good reacceleration maybe from the bus stop down to La Source. We don't see the move happening yet. Could it happen? It might be a bit too far back for Baker. He thinks better of it, although he tries to go as close to Ruotsalainen as possible. Show himself in the mirrors of Ruotsalainen and try to force him to make a mistake. Pile him on the pressure. The battle for the lead is looking extremely hot right now. Both are going through Eau Rouge. Towards the top of the radial they go. Baker having a super good line through Eau Rouge, having a lot of exit speed now, trying to find the slipstream of Ruotsalainen on the Camel Straight. He's going to go for the inside of Les Combes, or is he? Is he going to think better of it? He goes for it. Does not break later than Ruotsalainen. So far, it's still first for Ruotsalainen, second for Baker. Although, look at Baker, he's right within the gearbox of Ruotsalainen right now. Although that move will have to wait a little bit as they head to Rivage. Meanwhile, in third and fourth, you can see that Brendan Patrick is completely harassing Nigel Tarrin right now, going a bit wide of Malmedy. Gap at the previous sector was half a second between Tarrin and Brendan Patrick. Meanwhile, back up front, you can see we still got the battles for pretty much the biggest places. Battle for the podium between Tarrin and Patrick, and battle for the lead between Ruotsalainen and Baker 18 minutes into this race. Tarrin and Patrick exiting Pouhon, coming up towards Faye. Tarin currently holding on like for dear life to third position. Meanwhile, Baker might have made a mistake between Fagnes and Savlo because the gap has widened a little bit to 0.4 of a second in favor of Rotsalainen, but now we're coming up to Blanchimont again. He's not going to be close enough to try and make the move unless he feels bold and tries to break extremely late. Meanwhile, Tarin and Patrick, the battle is well and truly on between these two. Baker will have to wait a little bit, trying to get closer to the back bumper of Rotsalainen. Meanwhile, Tarin and Patrick, sorry. Patrick going a bit wide of the Blanchimont. That will give a bit of respite maybe for Nigel Tarin heading into the bus stop. The two leaders coming up towards La Source. Hurling down the start straight as they're coming towards Eau Rouge. We're going on board with Darren Baker to see if he gets a better exit than Rotsalainen. It seemed as though he got a little, maybe a tiny bit better, but the speed differential is not really that striking for Darren Baker, who's going to have to wait again a little bit for the move, unless he tries to go for a suicidal dive bomb at Lecombe, but he thinks better of it again. Meanwhile, Tarin versus Patrick. Patrick is looking somewhat close. He shows himself in the mirrors again, ducks back behind Tarin, trying to intimidate the AMG driver. Meanwhile, Carbom and Engman. Carbom choosing the inside, Engman the outside. Will he try to reel him in around the outside, trying to get the line for the next part of Lecombe? Oh, he outbreaks himself, goes a bit wide, and that should give Carbom a bit of respite again as he secures his 5th position and continues holding out for dear life against Eric Engman. Sean White 7th. Atterberg Ayrton battling versus Kai Gulliver, trying to go for a move at Rivage, maybe? No, he ducks back behind Ayrton. Then we got Aaron Jackson still in the top 10, Sadowski in 11th, Roland 12th, Kurspek at 13th, Paulino 14th, and Carlos Oslot, after starting in 31st, moves back up 16 spots to move through into 15th position. Look, what a mega comeback from that poor qualifying performance from Carlos Oslot. Meanwhile, Brendan, Patrick, and Tarin, still the harassment continues between these two, and the harassment from Baker continues on Rotsalainen in this race, 20 minutes in. Tarin coming out a bit wide, singles for Patrick out of Stavlo 2. Meanwhile, at the front, oh, Baker trying to take as much speed as he can into Blanchimont, trying to go for the move around the outside of the bus stop. It's not going to be enough for Baker. Rotsalainen currently retains the lead. Meanwhile, Patrick and Tarin. Will Patrick go for the inside? Yes, he does go. No, he will not have to tuck back in behind Tarin. Meanwhile, let's actually see if we can get the battle up front. Meanwhile, we saw another retirement, that of Arjen Loren de Jong, and one of the Lexus RCFs engaged in this series, which is a bit of a shame for the Lexus cars. Tarin still holding on versus Brandon Patrick. Baker with the number 420. Yeah, we got a bit of a meme, meme numbers in this one. But meanwhile, Baker cannot really have the answer to the commanding defense and commanding race control that Rotsalainen has. Meanwhile, Brandon Patrick seems to have made a bit of a mistake at La Source, because look at how far back he is compared to Tarin on the Camel Straight. The gaps at the next sector are going to be pretty impactful. 0.6 of a second between Tarin and Patrick. Well, they looked within the half a second in the previous laps. Meanwhile, Ayrton versus Gulliver. Ayrton having a bit of a benefit of a better gap compared to Gulliver onto the Camel Straight, should be able to secure himself that 8th position versus Gulliver. Jackson still in P10. Osland in P15, trying to catch up to Paulino in P14. Brendan Patrick coming in hot, trying to break as late as he can before Fagnes. That battle might feel like it's insignificant, but it's a battle for third place nonetheless. So yeah, there's still some big points at the end of it. 45 for finishing in third versus 43 for finishing in fourth place. The top 25 in the race scored points so far. Oslot is on course to score some points for himself in the championship with his current P15, currently trying to make up some more points, trying to catch up to Paolino. He's 2.4 seconds down on the number 25 Audi. Baker trying to show himself again in the bumpers and in the mirrors of Ruotsalainen. Taran, meanwhile, widens the gap to Brandon Patrick. So Taran trying to secure himself that positioning on the track. Baker going through a rouge. Oh, he has to go really wide out there. And he might have been forced to release a little bit, maybe for track limits. I don't really know, unless it might have been just a warning for track limits for Darren Baker. Nevertheless, it loses a little bit of momentum, allowing Ruotsalainen to breathe a little bit in this instance before braking for Lecombe. Ayrton and Gulliva, the next closest battle for P8 in the standings. Currently it's Ayrton who holds it in the Ping Pong Racing number 14 BMW M6. Gulliva chasing him, although he's not close enough to try and make a move at the Camel Straight. Braking for Lecombe. P8 for Ayrton. P10 so far for Aaron Jackson. Having a bit of a lonely race in itself. 4.2 seconds down on Kai Gulliva, but still looking to be 3.7 seconds up on Maciej Sadowski in the number 13 Lexus RCF, the highest place RCF as a matter of fact. Roland in 12th, Pika 13th, Paolino 13th. 14th and 15th, so Oslot, who's currently trying to catch up to Paolino. He bridged the gap to 1.9 seconds in the last lap or so, but yeah, so far it's not looking to be enough for any challenge. At least any meaningful challenge for the points. Oh, Tara with a bit of wide exit at the exit of Fagnes, sorry. Patrick is right within his back bumper at the exit of Stavlo 1 and Stavlo 2. We're gonna have to go on board with Brandon Patrick, it feels like, for a potential move at the exit of Blanchimont into the bus stop chicane. A bit of a slower exit, it seems like, from Brandon Patrick, though, at the exit of Stavlo 2. So the gap will remain equal to 1.6 tenths of a second, heading through Blanchimont now. Will there be the same thing as Eric Engman? He's forced to lift a little bit, though. That will not be enough for a move. Taran still holding on to P3. But Brendan Patrick is coming really, really close and snapping at his heels. Well, GT3s don't have DRS, Witty. They just don't. You forgot that. You're confusing with DTM. Meanwhile, Patrick trying to show himself in the mirrors, but he went a bit too far down the inside of La Sorte, but he's going to be able to keep it a close fight up until Lecombe. He knows he can have a chance of breaking at Lecombe a little bit later than Taran. The exit from Eau Rouge is going to be everything here. Oh, a bit of a sluggish exit from there. A bit of an oversteering moment, it seems like, from Brandon Patrick. Let's actually see. Yeah, look, it seems a tiny bit of oversteer that was enough to actually gain any speed. So yeah, Patrick still retaining fourth place right now, and Taran still holding on for dear life in third. The two leaders not giving themselves an edge. They keep on pushing each other so hard throughout the race. We're almost halfway through the race. Remember, we're going for 60 minutes of racing here, plus one lap. And so far, Ruotsalainen and Baker have been pushing it really, really hard in this race. Currently, the fastest lap of the race, I think, is credited to Pete Ruotsalainen with a 2:18.294. Man currently leading this race. Yes, indeed, it is the fastest lap. No one else has done any faster lap around the track. Meanwhile, Baker is trying to close up again to Ruotsalainen through Blanchimont. Will that be enough? for a move. He tries to go for the outside. Rotalainen protecting the inside. Baker not going for the late braking technique. The late braking technique, as I like to call it. And will bide his time. Try to keep himself as close as he can to Rotalainen. You can see he's almost within his back bumper now. Maybe for a move at La Source. Baker trying to go potentially for the switchback. He keeps it on the outside. Rotalainen shuts the door before La Source. Kjellgren having retired. Patrick and Taran looking pretty close as well. But now look at the battle for the lead right here. We're going to have to go on board with Darren Baker again. Within the back bumper of Rotalainen through Eau Rouge. Keeping a nice straight line through there. Maybe a bit of a better exit from Eau Rouge compared to Rotalainen. Look at this. He's going to have to go for the outside now. He's going to have to commit to it. Try to break later maybe than Rotalainen before Lecombe. And he makes the move. Sticky goes through the lead. First lead change in half an hour of racing. Rotalainen gets demoted to second place by Darren Baker. Meanwhile, Taran and Patrick, it looks as though Patrick is a little bit too far behind to make any move happen. And so, lead change, Darren Baker, the pole sitter, after being completely slaughtered at the start by Rotalainen, gets back the lead of the race for the TWR Motorsport team. Meanwhile, these positions have somewhat settled down except for the battle for third between Taran and Patrick. Drive-through penalty for Fernando Paulino, it seems like, so he's going to be due to come into the pits. Oslot in P14 will move up into P13, as a matter of fact, with the apparently retirement that I didn't see, unfortunately. But yeah, Oslot coming back nicely after qualifying 31st in this race, remember. He might be on course for a top 10 spot in the end. Oslot is 6/10 down on Paulino at the moment, so we might have to check in on how Carlos is doing. Oh, Rotalainen going super wide at the exit of Stafflo too. I wonder if this is going to be a track limits warning for Rotalainen in this instance. That will allow Baker to build a gap of 6/10 at the end of Sector 2 and keep the lead for himself. Patrick still relentlessly chasing Taran. Not close enough to make a move, but still trying to reel him in as much as he can. Meanwhile, Ataberg, Ayrton, and Gulliver keeping in close proximity of each other. Gulliver still trying to pile on the pressure and trying to set up a move for P8 in the race versus Ataberg, Ayrton. Paulino being caught up to by Oslot. Sorry for the little bit of a voice fatigue moment there, but yeah, Oslot coming back up, trying potentially to challenge for P13, trying to break later than Paulino, trying to catch up to Paulino, as a matter of fact, into the bus stop chicane, the number 62 AMG, and Paulino pulls it to the pits for his drive-through penalty, so Oslot moves up into P13 in the standings. Oh, what happened to Taran? Taran is out of the race, he's in the pits! Brendan Patrick gets promoted automatically up to P3. What happened to Taran? What happened to Nigel Taran? Oh, Taran got spun. Well, Taran spun at the exit of the of Eau Rouge, completely throwing everything away, and he's parked it at the exit of at the top of the Rédillon, and completely decides that it is done for, and that's over for Nigel Taran. Unfortunately for him, after looking so good in that race, holding off Brendan Patrick's challenge for third, it all comes to an abrupt end. Oslot up to P12, as a matter of fact, of the retirement from Nigel Taran and the drive-through from Paulino. Paulino down to 22nd place now. Oslot up to P12, Chris Picker in 11th, Joran Röland in P10, and Aaron Jackson promoted to P9. Brendan Patrick thus inherits third place and moves on to a podium spot and making in the 1-3 potentially for TWR Motorsport. Paulino down to 23rd after that drive-through penalty, unfortunately for him. And so the positions have settled down quite a bit. Only Engman is within a second of Carbon, but otherwise... Oh no, I completely forgot about another battle, which has been promoted to a battle for 7th place between Ataberg Ertan and Kai Gulliver. Gulliver within the gearbox of Ertan. He's going to try to go side by side with him as they're going to go towards Blanchimont. He's going to be on the outside. What a braver, and the speed differential should be enough maybe for the moved stick. Oh, they're side by side almost through Blanchimont, but Ataberg having to lift a little bit and conceding the place to Gulliver. What a move from Kai around the outside of Ataberg Ertan to claim 7th position. Meanwhile, Roland under pressure. As we had another retirement, it seems like, from one of the other cars. Ataberg Ertan is still in here, trying to battle with Kai Gulliver and La Sauce. Sean White, meanwhile, from the Sean White Racing Team in number 222, still has a pretty peaceful race so far, with the race of attrition having promoted himself up to P6. Pekka and Roland, meanwhile, are having a bit of a tussle for P10 in the standings. Oslot is also right behind them. This could be a good opportunity for Oslot to come back into the top 10 and try to recover from a pretty disappointing incident at Laguna Seca, which was not his fault, by the way. But yeah, that could still be a valiant effort and a good redemption from that poor qualifying form as well before. Meanwhile, Roland passes Pekka before Lecombe, having had a good exit from Eau Rouge, having more speed than Pekka on the Capital Straight. Roland goes straight through to top 10. Pekka down to 11th and now potentially under threat from Carlos Oslot. Roland going side by side with Pekka, who retakes P10 from Roland heading through Rivage. And Roland down to 11th. Oslot going around the outside. And Roland down to P12. And Oslot, after 31st, has made up 20 starting 31st, came back 20 places and has a shot at the top 10 with 25 minutes to go in this race. Pekka currently remaining in the top 10, but for how long, as Oslot is looking to be pretty quick out there. Chris Pekka coming up to Stavlo. Oslot is within a second of Chris Pekka. Currently, the last laps, 1:22.0 for Oslot, 1:22.9 for Pekka. So yeah, Oslot looking to be on fire on the track right now in his AMG number 62. Going through Blanchimont. Braking late, much later than Pekka, almost giving him a nudge that we saw with Kjellgren. That could have been a repeat of Laguna Seca with Oslot versus Kjellgren, with Pekka coming off worse for wear. But now the brakes have been really well working for Oslot so far, and he managed to get it stopped in time. Will he try to go for the inside of La Source? No, he thinks better of it. He's going to have to fight off against Roland though as well. Jesper Roland, so in the Honda Now Racing number 824 Lamborghini Huracan. Pekka having quite a bit of a gap actually to Oslot, 6/10. It might not seem like much, but it's still enough to actually manage that. Oh, Oslot having a bit of a sketchy exit from Eau Rouge and going a bit wide at the top of the Rédillon, but it could still be enough to actually warrant a move. Oh, we're gonna have to go with Oslot here. Oslot has so much more speed than Pekka. He goes to the inside at Lecombe. Under braking, Pekka brakes late. Oslot forced inside, but he made the move stick. Or will he? Onto Malmedy and Oslot from 31st with a brilliant move at Lecombe. It's not done yet with Rivage coming up next. Will Pekka try to go for the inside? Yes, he does. The toss-up for top 10 is absolutely amazing here. Pekka retaking top 10 after briefly being taken away by Oslot, but that battle is absolutely insane. Carlos on fire here. My goodness. Pekka coming to defend his top 10 with style. Meanwhile, Oslot, going a bit too far inside, cutting a little bit of grass on the inside of the first part of Fagne. Dropping a bit of time, as a matter of fact, as a result of that, to Chris Pica up front. Meanwhile, towards the front of the field, Kai Gulliver has built quite a bit of a gap to Taberk Ayrton. So yeah, Gulliver looking safe in P7. Jackson's looking safe in P9. Ayrton safe in P8. Meanwhile, Oslo has done quite a bit of gap to Pica, and now is under threat from Jesper Røland as we're heading through Blanchimont. Oslo will try to go for the late braking technique. He goes to the inside at the bus stop chicane, braking super late, coming from so far behind. He outbrakes himself, and Pica will be able to retake 10th place. Oslo will let him through to retake top 10. Oslo down to P11, going for a bold move at the bus stop, maybe getting a little bit of the red miss. It seems like it might be costly as Røland is right behind him. So let's actually go for a little bit. Oh, actually, hold on. Battle for the lead. Ruotsalainen has taken back the lead from Baker. I completely missed it. Let's actually try to see if I can actually catch back what happened. And it seems as though I might have been a little bit too far. Yeah, I didn't manage to get it. Sorry, but yeah, indeed, Ruotsalainen is retaking the lead away from Darren Baker, heading into lap 16. So Ruotsalainen back into the lead of the race, going by the pole sitter. Meanwhile, Pica, Oslot, and Røland are looking to be pretty close again at the exit of Les Combes into Malmedy, but Pica having a bit more advantage than Oslot over Røland right now. Pica trying to manage that cushion, trying to manage that buffer, and trying to make himself comfortable and trying to make himself a little bit safer into the top 10. 40 minutes in with 20 minutes to go in the race. Pete Ruotsalainen leads in front of Darren Baker, Brandon Patrick in third, Carlblom in fourth, Engman fifth, Sean White, Kai Gulliver, Ataberk Ayrton, Aaron Jackson, and Chris Pica complete your top 10 so far. But you can see that Oslot is willing to try and make a run for top 10 right now after qualifying so poorly in the 31st position. Then a little bit further behind we find Jesper Røland, then Oliver Schözel, Mario Schneider, Ricky Court, Anton Colon, Steve Hughes, Alex Walker, William Barbosa, John Schramm, Alex Hancock, John Foster, number 23. Oh, Paulino retires. Pim Van Mil looking to go into the pits as well, so we might see more retirements coming in, unfortunately. Yeah, Pim Van Mil going in the pits. There might be retirements coming up. Engman trying to reel in Pontus Carlblom for P4 right now. Engman not having as much exit speed from Eau Rouge, it seems like, as Carlblom. We're gonna have to wait and see here on this particular stretch. The Camel Straights, no, it's not gonna be enough for a move on the braking down to Les Combes. John Foster thus is the last of the runners. Everybody else has been is currently in the pits. Nick, yeah, there have been quite a fair bit of people retiring in this race. A bit of a race of attrition here at Spa-Francorchamps as Baker tries to catch up to Ruotsalainen through Fagne. Meanwhile, a little bit further behind, Engman continuing to pile the pressure on Pontus Carlblom. Let's see what we got a little bit further behind. Oslot around the outside with the supreme speed at the Camel Straight, trying to set himself up for the second part of Les Combes. He goes a bit too wide. He's forced to take the escape road. He's going to have to leave 10th place back again, and he might lose 11th to Røland, but no, he manages to keep it together. And Oslot right onto the back bumper of Pica as they go to Riedage. The move will not come. Baker coming closer and closer again to Ruotsalainen. Are we going to be seeing a repeat of the battle for the lead that we saw a few laps ago between these two? I'm going to have to wait and see. Meanwhile, an interesting development in the battle between Oslot and Chris Pica. So far it is Pica who holds top 10. Don't let the totem fool you. It's still Pica currently holding top 10, but Oslot is right up on his heels. He goes for the move under braking at Fagne. No, he thinks better of it and ducks back out at the last minute. Oslot is completely boiling right now, I'm imagining. Baker and Ruotsalainen, meanwhile. Baker maybe with a bit of better exit speed from Les Combes. Well, not from Les Combes, from Eau Rouge, sorry. No, it's not going to be enough for a move on the braking here. Let's actually try to go check back in with Pika and Ocelot. They're still looking supremely close as they go through Blanchimont. Both going really wide. Ocelot is right within his back bumper. He's trying to go for the outside and trying to reel Pika around the outside of the bus stop chicane and go for the switchback potentially. No, he's going to have to duck back in. Pika almost outbraking himself into the bus stop as well. But still holding strong. We could see a Porsche in the top 10 after all. Ocelot braking later, showing himself in the mirrors of Pika. Bergren coming back out of the pits after having stopped for repairs, I'm imagining. Meanwhile, let's actually try to see how the leaders are faring. Battle looking still pretty close between Baker and... Oh! Ocelot in the wall! What happened to Carlos? What happened to Carlos? Oh, come on. Oh, I missed it. Damn it. But yeah, Carlos seems to have been in a battle. Might have been spun by Jesper Röland. And he heads straight into the wall. That will be done and dusted for Ocelot. He's back racing. He's in P15 now. Still looking to be a pretty decent comeback, coming up 16 points. But you can see the damage here on the AMG GT3 of Ocelot. That is such a shame from Carlos. Let's actually see if we can get a better perspective of what happened here. Oh, Engman also getting spun. Meanwhile, let's actually try to see if we get a bit bigger. No, it's going to be expiring the replay. No, it's still going to be here. So let's see. Ocelot going through Eau Rouge. Oh, he spins a little bit, maybe taking a bit of curve on the exit and heads straight onto the entire barrier at the exit of the Radion. Oh my goodness, such an unfortunate end to the race of, to the challenge for top 10 of Carlos Ocelot here. He continues to run tonight, but you can see the damage here. It is pretty substantial. Meanwhile, up front, it seems as though we have Darren Baker, who has come back in front of Pete Ruotsalainen. Gonna have to wait and come back to the live feed because we're still in the replay. I might have messed up a little bit, but yeah, Ruotsalainen down in second place as Baker retakes the lead with 15 minutes to go in this race. Ocelot down in P17. He might be dropping quite a bit of pace thanks due to the damage that he sustained in that violent crash. Meanwhile, with the mistake from with the accident between Carbom and Engman, it seems like that happened. We saw at Les Combes. Carbom's down to P5, and Sean White has been the beneficiary of that, moving up to P4, and Kai Gliva moving up to P6 as well, ahead of Engman. So yeah, quite a few shenanigans happening in this race. Meanwhile, Chris Pika is looking safe in P10, around 1 second ahead of Jesper Röland, then Oliver Schulze moving up to P12. Moishana P13, Ricky Court P14, Anton Collin P15, Steve Hughes in P16, the only Bentley Continental we've seen so far. Alex Walker, I think it is Alex Walker in P17. William Barbosa P18, Ocelot down to P19, he's back in the pits. Ocelot is in the pits, ladies and gentlemen, trying to get a little bit of repairs going for the damage he sustained in the lap 19, lap 20 crash that we've seen, as he was in a squabble between himself, Pika, and Röland for P10. Meanwhile, Baker still holding the race lead after retaking it in the previous lap to Ruotsalainen. The positions have somewhat settled, except maybe that for the top 10. We're going to have to see if we can get a little bit of a glimpse of what's happening here. Pika and Roland going through fine right now. The gap is half a second. Meanwhile, it seems as though we don't have any big battles brewing, at the very least, from what I can see. Ocelot is coming back out, trying to finish the race. He's down in 21st. He will potentially lose another position to John Foster. It might not, actually, thanks to Foster being a lap down on Ocelot at the moment of the impact, but... yeah, such a shame for, oh! What happened? Darren Baker has had a connection issue, it seems like. Yeah, we have indeed lost... We have indeed lost Darren Baker. Darren is out of it. Having been lost to the shadow realm of internet connections, it seems like, but yeah. The pulsator is completely out of it. Ruotsalainen inherits the lead with this astounding 22-second gap to Brendan Patrick in P2 and might have to just bring this one home. Such a shame for Darren Baker, who was battling all race long with Pete for a supreme battle for the lead. Ruotsalainen in the lead, Patrick in P2, and Sean White in third place just ahead of Pontus Karbom. Karbom can be in for a podium spot here. Gulliver in P5, then we've got P6 for Engman, Atabeker down for P7, P8 for Jackson, P9 for Pekka, P10 for Roland. Oslot just ahead of both Pekka and Roland. Yours Zizakos and Pan for you. Hope you're doing well. You're coming towards the closing stages of the fourth round of the DRL GT3 Sprint Series at Spa-Francorchamps. 11 minutes to go. Cancel in T1 lap 2 already. Oh, what was your name in game? I didn't actually see. I can only observe so many things in the race. I'm really sorry that if I missed you, but. Oh, Matthias. Oh, that was you, Westberg. Oh, damn! I completely missed the shenanigan that happened to you. Really sorry about that, but hey, light blue Aston. Yeah, I see the light blue Aston with the yellow stripe. Yeah, I completely see, but I might have missed that, unfortunately. So, Ruotsalainen currently holding the lead. Check the replay later. Yeah, I will. Meanwhile, White getting reeled in by Karbom. White having a pretty strong race. Now the question is, can he hold the last 10 minutes versus Karbom? Karbom completely relentless. Spectacular takeout. Well, I've seen the spin from Kniepels and from Oslot, as well as the shake from Engman, and also one of the spins from Engman versus Karbom and who was that? Yeah, and another guy who was involved. But yeah, White's under threat from Karbom for P3. This is a battle for the podium spot actually being contested out here. Meanwhile, we had other retirements coming in. Oslot down in up to P20 now with well, Paulino being stuck in the pits, Pelvan Mail in the pits as well. White currently holding strong versus Karbom through the first sector, but maybe the second sector might prove otherwise, as Karbom will try to go potentially for a move at Rivage. No, he thinks better of it. He just shows himself in the mirrors, trying to intimidate Sean White here. Engman in Ayrton 5th and 6th, Aaron Jackson in P7. Pekka and Roland in P8 and P9. Roland 1 second down on Pekka at the exit of the entry to lap 22. And a little bit further away than he would like compared to Pekka. Oh, White going wide at Pool. Karbom sneaking up the inside. White forced out wide while going a bit out wide, trying to leave space to Karbom. He's going to have the inside for fine, but Karbom breaks a bit later and makes the move stick. Karbom moving up to the podium. Sean White down to P4, but even the 4th place would be really good for him after a really good race so far. It's really safe race in this particular race of attrition that we've had here at Spa-Francorchamps. Pekka and Roland still a little bit too far behind. Roland still too far behind Pekka to try and make a move. Then we have Schneider, Schlösel, and Kort in 10th, 11th, and 12th. Schlösel currently having a top 10 for McLaren, which would be the only McLaren in the top 10 so far. Karbom is going to try to widen the gap already to Sean White. John Fonster in P19. Meanwhile, we see Pete Ruotsalainen 8 minutes and 30 seconds to go in this race. As we're going through the list of entries, we should have maybe a little bit of a focus to actually the first time that I see this car being entered in the race series. Oh, Anton Collin meanwhile up front in the McLaren having a bit of a hairy moment into Fagnes. Managing to hold off Steve Hughes. But yes, Steve Hughes, the first time that I see a Bentley Continental GT3 being engaged in the DRL. First time a Bentley's on the grid. Yeah, I was wondering, Matthias, but yeah, it is indeed the first time that we see a Bentley, that's what I like to call, in the race. I wonder how popular the Bentley is in the game, actually. There's like 3 registered? Yeah. Meanwhile, Steve Hughes trying to catch up to Colon, piling the pressure on the McLaren driver. So far, Colon currently still holding on. Let's actually try to move back up the order. Pika and oh, we might have an no, it's still the same kind of order that we had before. Problem in white, the chase is still going on. Steve Hughes in the Bentley trying to catch up to Anton Colon in the McLaren, in the TWR number 151 McLaren. Meanwhile, towards the top, towards the front, we find, oh, Pontus Carbom might be for track limits. He's got a drive-through penalty. Pontus might be losing a podium spot because of this drive-through. And Sean White might just have his podium finish after all. No Pontus. Oh, no, he's still going to be top 25, but yeah, the big points are going to be completely gone for Carlbaum here, there, and then. What a shame. Sean White's going through the bus stop. Now we're going to have to see if Carlbaum peels over to the right-hand side. He does. He goes into the pits to serve his penalty. What a shame for Carlbaum. After coming back into contention for the podium spot after that small incident with Engman, it all comes downhill. Engman promoted up to P4. Carlbaum is going to lose a lot of places at Epic Airtown, making it a BMW into the top 5. And Jackson moving up his GTR into the top 6. It's a long pit lane here at Spa-Francorchamps. You don't have to just travel through the F1 pit lane. You have to go downwards as well, all the way up to the radio at the pit exit, which is going to be extremely close. Normally the F1s would exit right here with the white line that you see rejoining at the exit of the last horse. But no, the pit lane is extending a lot further than that. You can see Jackson blasting by. And Carlbaum will be kicking himself with that stupid, silly mistake. And he's going to lose big time here. Carlbaum currently sitting in P7. Now P8 as Pika, and then 9th as Roland goes by. You could see him in the background. And now the positions have well and truly settled down, except maybe for the top 10, with a battle between Schlözer and Schneider potentially brewing up. It's McLaren versus Honda. We could see either a 720S or an NSX at the end of this race into the top 10. And so far, for the first time in the season, I think it would be I think we would see that. I think we would see for the first time 3 Lamborghinis into the top 10 as well. Well, more Lamborghinis than Aston Martins for sure. Schneider catching up to Schulze. The move will have to wait a fair bit. Oh, Schneider going side by side with Schulze just after Rivage as well. Schneider looking racy. He knows there's a top 10 spot. Actually, there's 9th place with the, well, they're both in the top 10 now. So, yeah, maybe that's the cause for them to maybe wind down a little bit. Or maybe the battle for P9 now will continue hotting up between these two with 4 minutes to go into the race. The battle for the top 10 positions are pretty much settled. It's just battle for P9 now. No barrier to entry in the top 10 now. Schneider and Schlözer in the reverse order. P9 for Schlözer, P10 for Schneider. Let's go on board in the NSX now from Maria Schneider in the bus racing number 27 NSX GT3 Evo. Trying to catch up to Schlözer in the 720S GT3. Up ahead in the number 20 car. Going through Blanchimont. And a slight blend of the throttle for Maria Schneider as he tries to make it stick through Blanchimont onto the bus stop chicane. He's too far away to make a move on the braking, so he's going to have to wait a little bit. Three minutes to go. into the race. We could still have a bit of a shift in the ranking, at least in the final top 10 places before the end of this race. Meanwhile, Steve Hughes and Anton Colon, the battle's still raging on, and Steve Hughes is closing in on Anton Colon before Blanchimont. Will he try to go for the move at the bus stop chicane? Will he go for the inside line? Just shows himself in the mirrors. Hello Blythe 3, hope you're doing well. And hello Sencha Shogun as well. Meanwhile, that allows William Barbosa to catch up to the rest of the field and try to make himself a good spot and try to catch a few points as well. Meanwhile, Schulze and Schneider. Schneider still a bit too far back to make anything happen here. Gonna have to wind back to Hughes, Barbosa, and Colon. Currently, Colon pulling away from Hughes. So, continuing to secure that 13th position. Final push with 2 minutes remaining. It might be the final lap indeed for Ruotsalainen, who just came across the start-finish line as well. It might be the final opportunity for some of these drivers to try and make a move and try to move up the leaderboard and try to get them a few more points for themselves. Roland and Pekka potentially Roland and Pekka might be settling in for P7 and P8, or Roland will try to make something happen here before the end of this race. While Schulze and Schneider are still keeping in close proximity of each other. Then we're going to be winding back to P14-15, where Barbosa is getting left behind by Sam Hughes and Anton Colon. Maya Schneider trying to make it to the inside. No, he's still a bit too far away for a move under braking. So we'll have to bide his time again. He's not even close enough at the exit of the bus stop chicane. So Schulze might just be safe. Schulze might just be safe. Meanwhile, a little bit further behind, Colon getting reeled in by Hughes again. Hughes might be going for it now, going through Blanchimont. Well, Hughes trying to go for the daring braking maneuver into the bus stop. No, he just sticks behind Anton Colon. Meanwhile, Pete Ruotsalainen coming towards the end of his lap. 10 seconds left before the end of the timer, and that will be the checkered flag being waved to Ruotsalainen. A commanding drive up front and a nice battle with Darren Baker that unfortunately was premature due to the connection issue on Baker's part. But that is it. Win number 3 of the season for Pete Ruotsalainen, who continues to extend his championship advantage. Brendan Patrick, having had a pretty good race on his own as well, will finish in 2nd position at the line. Sean White has got quite a long way to go before reaching the start-finish straight, but he will still be able to record a nice podium position. In this race of attrition, he decided to play it safe, and the driver of the number 222 Ferrari from SW Racing is about to be rewarded. Just the bus stop chicane left, and Sam White will take the podium spot. 3rd place for the Ferrari driver. 4th place for Eric Hagman. 5th place for Atabe Kerta, making it a BMW in the top 5. 6th place for Aaron Jackson, and possibly the best finish we've seen this season for a GTR Nismo coming up. And we see Carlos Oslov, who's going to be finishing a lap behind in P20. Pekka should be just safe from Roland in P7. Roland in P8, then Schulze should have enough room to finish ahead in the top 10, ahead of Maya Schneider in the top 10, so that will be your finishing positions. Oslov finishing in P20, P7 for Chris Pekka, Jesper Roland finishing in P8, Oliver Schulze finishing in P9, and top 10 for Maya Schneider. Ricky Court will finish in P11. After that drive-through penalty, Pontus Campbell will finish in P12. 21st place for Tim Berggren, finishing almost side by side with Colm at the line. Colon, Hughes, and Barbosa, Hughes will try to go potentially for a move down the inside. Is he going to be trying to go for the daring move? Barbosa trying to show himself in the mirrors of Hughes. But Colon will hold him off, or will he? He almost spins between the two corners of the bus stop, but he keeps it together, and Colon finishes in 13th ahead of Steve Hughes and of...
Green light, show them what you got.
William Barbosa. Good game, everybody. Good race. So that is round 4 of the GT3 Sprint Series from the Delta Racing League done and dusted. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary despite being a bit somewhat shaky for someone who's not really used to doing, not really that much use at, nevertheless, to doing a sim racing commentary. I hope you guys still enjoyed the show. We'll definitely check the replay from the race though to see some of the action that I might have missed, because you know I only can only spectate so much stuff and observe so much stuff on my spot. So yeah, it will be pretty interesting for me to watch the replay back. But yeah, I want to also take time to thank a few people here. Thank you very much, Drinky Poo Tournament. Wow, super name, and Life Free 95. For the follows. Thank you very much, guys. This is very appreciated. Now, I might be back on stream tomorrow. Now, it will not be for sim racing. It will be for something completely other. I think I might be taking the new Track Media campaign for a spin. I know this will be old news for some people, like, oh, you're late to the party. Like, I'm always late to the party to everything, right? So, I will be discovering the winter camp. Well, I will be playing through the winter campaign. Up first, and also discover the Grand League's Step 1 map pack. Remember that I'm still looking to try and get a casting spot for the Grand League, but yeah, I might as well keep preparing in case I do find something and have everything under my wing for ready for Step 1, which is going to be happening, remember, on January 24th. But the TN cast will be taking back a week earlier with the French Championship on January 16th and 17th, so make sure to stay tuned for that as well. But anyways, thank you very much for watching, guys. It's been fun commentating this race for the GT3 European Sprint Series on Assetto Corsa Competizione. I will be back next week in the commentary booth as well. Round 5 of the championship taking us to Brands Hatch, and the first of 2 rounds in the United Kingdom that will be on January 9th, 2021 at 19:45 here on this channel. So if you're new, feel free to hit the follow button and hit the bell to be notified when I go live. And if you're willing to actually support me in another way, well, you can either do a donation through the link in the bio, subscribe with $4.99 or a Prime Gaming sub, or send a few bits my way. Of course, it's not mandatory, but always appreciated. But anyways, thank you very much for the support, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Godspeed, people.